All right, guys, welcome to tonight's session. Hopefully, everybody is having a good night. Hope you guys have had a good day today. It is Monday, August 21st. Today, we're going to be going over the price action, what we ended up trading today, talk about what we're going to be going over, getting ready into tomorrow, and then we'll go over any trades that you guys took that you want me to review. So, going into the morning this morning, looking at NQ first, the biggest thing I was watching is this 4-hour fair value gap. Now, this 4-hour fair value gap was telling me was gonna give me pretty much my bias going into the day. Now, if we could continue to reject this area, I would expect price to go lower. But if we were going to continue through this, I was going to expect this to now become an inverse fair value gap and come up to buy side, which I still think is the draw on liquidity since we haven't taken it out yet. So going into the morning here, looking at ES actually, I was pretty bearish on ES as I did think the draw on liquidity was this low here. Looking at the open, we could see ES was starting to reject this 4-hour fair value gap. We were starting to get displacement to the downside. You can see this was now our market structure shift. So going into the morning, I was a little bit more short biased, and I wanted to potentially possibly take some shorts if we could come up into this 15-minute fair value gap. So going into the morning, I do want to replay this action. At the open, we got a lot of buying pressure, especially on NQ. So at this point in time, I was very, very cautious. So I only decided to take one contract. I took one contract of ES shorts, and I was looking to possibly scale if we were going to start to reject. At the time, we were forming an SMT as well. NQ had taken that high. ES had not taken that high. And this is where I entered one contract. My max loss here was like $200. I was in like less than a quarter of my position size. I was very, very in small size, looking to see if we were going to get displacement back to the downside. Now, I did believe that this low was going to become the draw on liquidity, and I wanted to see if it was going to be now or it could be later. So I only entered in one contract. NQ ended up continuing to the upside, and that one contract ended up getting stopped when we ended up coming up right here. So I was up somewhere like maybe 300, 400 something here. And then we ended up coming back up and I got stopped on that contract. We ended up coming up. ES ends up taking that high and we start to get displacement to the downside. Now, right when we come up and ES takes us high, this to me is telling me that, okay, shorts might have been a little bit too early. We've now swept that internal buy side level. I am expecting price to now go to the downside. So we continue here. We get nice displacement to the downside. This tells me that the draw is probably going to become that low. Now, I do want to look at NQ at this time as well. Once we started to get displacement to the downside on NQ, notice we were above this 4-hour fair value gap, though. So what am I expecting here? I expect us to come to sell side, sweep this level, and then go right back higher because I'm expecting this fair value gap to become inverse, right? My bias going into the day is if we can get above this area, which we did in the morning, we got a nice move to the upside on NQ. I do expect us to come into this, retrace, hold this inverse, and then go towards that external buy side level. Now, the best possible trade that you could have taken today, in my opinion, was these shorts right here. So once we come up and NQ starts to displace to the downside, notice we get a lot of selling pressure. On this move back up, I was looking to take shorts. We came up. Once this fair value gap gets rejected and we get this displacement to the downside, I was looking to take shorts here, but we had no fair value gap, so I was just a little bit patient and I decided not to take it. But you absolutely could have taken on this inverse. So in my opinion, I think this was the best short that you could have taken today if you were going to short. This was the highest probability. Once you get that rejection here, you wait for displacement. Notice this low is not taken yet, and you use this fair value gap as inverse. You would have scaled half your position here, come back, and then we end up selling off to take out that sell side level. Now, once this sell side level is taken, notice on ES as well, we're actually forming an SMT because ES comes all the way down and takes this low. So NQ is nowhere near taking that low. So right when we get displacement back to the upside, that is when we could potentially be looking for longs. Now, right when we take the sell side, what am I looking for? Market structure shift. Now, at this point in time, I ended the live. I did went to go work on some videos. But this would have been a valid long. Once this SMT is holding, NQ has now had sell side. We've now been holding this 4-hour fair value gap. Once we get displacement to the upside, notice we're waiting. Boom, right here we get that nice move. We get a fair value gap. This would have been a really nice potential long to target all the way back to buy side, and you could see we ended up running the rest of the day to the upside. Now, looking here, the rest of the day, you could have maybe scalped some longs, on the way up, but there was really no retracement back to discount of this area. I was looking to potentially take longs if we could have, when we were right here, if we could have come down and swept this low and then gone back up, but we never ended up doing so. We ended up just continuing to ride to the upside. And again, I do not care to take any trade that doesn't fit my edge. If markets are just going to run to buy side or run to whatever, and it's just going to have a straight up move, I don't care, all right? I'm going to let the market do its thing. I'm going to let the market, provide the action that's going to give me a good bias, but I do not care to catch any sort of move that doesn't, have anything to do with a bias that I'm actually confident in, right? Like we were talking about earlier today in the live session, one thing that I want you guys to flip your mindset about is a lot of you guys come into the market looking for any possible opportunity that can make you money, instead of looking for your specific edge that you have actual true conviction and confidence in, right? As traders, when you come into the market trying to make money with every single opportunity, you're not actually building true, real conviction. And true conviction and confidence is what is going to provide you profitability in the long run, right? So me trying to scalp, maybe longs right here is trying to scalp everything that doesn't fit my criteria of trades. Just like nothing up here really fits my criteria of what I need to take a setup. Now, I can maybe look to scalp if I get my scalp model, which is, an SMT or whatever. I can maybe look to take maybe look to take a trade. But if I don't get that, I'm not looking to take any trade. And I don't care that the market goes up like this. I don't care. A lot of you guys look at this move and are like, oh my God, I could have banked, I was looking to long and then I didn't and blah, 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 blah. Guys, relax. Your job is not to catch massive fucking moves like this. Your job is to catch 5 to 10 handles consistently. Because guess what? This move does not happen every day. Guess what does happen every day? This move. If you can learn to consistently repeat and have confidence with catching 5 to 10 handles, 5 to 10 points, you will fucking change your life. And that is all you need. So when I look at this price action and I can see that we just run today, I'm totally fine with that. It proves my bias. It's giving me more confidence with what I said on the draw on liquidity. Again, I expected going into the morning. I said, once we break through this, I'm expecting us to go to buy side like we have been. So all that's doing to me is just giving me more confidence with my bias. But I'm focusing on the good things, not the things that are actually building bad habits. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, is being able to recognize what is good habits and what is bad habits. Now, coming out of a day like this, the way that I want to think about it, and I want you guys to think about it as well, is ask yourself these questions. Number one, if I did take any trades today, did I follow my rules? Did I have my proper position sizing? If not, did I over leverage? Why? Number 3, is this a setup that I have traded before and have I had confidence with it? And number 5, was I patient and I waited for it? If not, it was not a good trading day. I don't care if you made money. I don't care if you lost money. If you did not do those 5 things, it was a bad trading day. Because the way that a lot of you guys are thinking is, if I made money today, I did something good. I did something right if I made money. Absolutely not. And I want to shake that from your head, right? You have to be focusing on building good habits, because trading is all about longevity. And to actually stay in this game for a long time, you have to have those consistent habits that are always going to keep you from making mistakes. So going into a day, if I take a win and I know it's a bad trade, I'm going to say, hey guys, we made money here, but, it wasn't really the best trade, right? And I'm going to come out of that day being like, hey, even though I made, $1,000, $2,000 today, that trade wasn't really the best. It wasn't really my setup. It wasn't really my age. I wasn't patient. Blah, 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 whatever it is, right? That is the way that you guys need to be thinking about building good habits. When you're focused on making money, all of those things completely fly out the window, and all of the growth that you think that you're actually building and all of that experience that you think you're growing from is not happening at all, because you're in the shadows, not realizing that you're building bad habits, right? And a lot of you guys question the days that you come into the market and you're like, oh, I've been killing it. You have, a week green streak, maybe 2-week green streak, and all it takes is 2-3 days for you to wipe out all that progress. You want to know why? It's because those 2-3 weeks that you've had that are green, You've gotten lucky. You've had no consistency with it. I guarantee you, if you go back in your trades and you look at your success, a lot of the times you're either over leveraged, not trading good setups. You're getting lucky, and by the time those habits keep building, you get a day where you're confused on the bias, you're confused on what the draw and liquidity is, and you take bad trades because you've been building such bad habits. You over leverage because you're focused on making quick money, and you end up blowing it. And trust me, I have been there. I used to be the exact same way. So when we do these sessions, a lot of the time we're going to talk about the charts, we're going to talk about trading, but I want to talk about the nitty-gritty and the actual true psychology of what is going to make you a better trader. Because not a lot of people talk about the actual good and bad habits people build behind the scenes in their head that they don't realize is actually going on, right? So, are we going into the day following good habits? Proper position sizing. We're being patient, waiting for our setup. We're not taking, setups that we're not confident with, don't recognize. We're not trying to catch, monster moves. We're not trying to scalp, a little fucking point just to make a quick buck, just trying to, make money back. You have to be going into every day. And at the end of the day, I want you guys to go in your journal the trades you took and say, hey, Justin, did I follow these rules today? If not, why? How did that work out for me? Did I get lucky? Did I get unlucky? How am I going to use this experience to better me in the future, right? Every day you come into the market, if you really want to grow, whenever I say, guys, you just should be focusing on the process. You should be focused on gaining experience. That only works if you are doing what I'm saying. If you are going into every day, practicing good habits, practicing good risk management, because all of those things is gaining real experience, good experience. That experience is what's actually going to help you grow in the long run and be a good trader. So today's one of those days for me where, I like to set up in the morning. I got stopped out very, very small, right? Notice my loss today versus my wins. I took a $250 loss today. $250. One contract, gave it a shot, didn't work, didn't really like anything the rest of the day. I'm totally fine taking that loss. But when I win, I'm winning $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, right? So my losses when I lose are very, very small. When I know that they're wrong, and I take them off. When I know they're right, I add to my position because I'm confident with it, and I take advantage of that confidence. So this move, or this day specifically, I didn't really see anything I had, an insane level of confidence with. So those days happen. There's nothing wrong with that. The best thing that you can do when you come into days where you're not confident is, number one, don't trade or lower your size significantly. And that's exactly what I did today. So even if I took a $250 loss today, I am going into my journal saying, hey, today was a great day. I followed my rules. I stayed patient. I didn't force anything, and I had good risk management. That is how you need to be looking at the market. Instead of saying, hey, I lost money today, it was a bad day. Or, hey, I won money today, it was a good day. Because there's so much more that goes on that you need to realize and need to focus on. Does that make sense? Didn't see any setups today that looked solid enough, so I waited patiently and then ended up not taking a trade. In the second day of my funded account, so I was ready low, but it felt good to make sure the mental progress there for sure. Absolutely, James. That's great, brother. Justin, I followed my rules well, but tempted sometimes to over leverage. Are you still tempted time to time, even if all the experience? No, not at all. Rarely ever am I tempted to over leverage. You want to know why? It's because I know how much money I can make when I'm not over leveraged. When you are over leveraged, you are going to lose more money in the long run than you will be if you just trade regular size. So why the fuck would you over leverage? Okay, you want to know why people over leverage? Do you want to know why? It's because you want satisfaction right fucking now. You don't want to wait for 3 or 4 wins in a row to make, $5,000. You want that right now. Now, you're not, saying this to yourself. It's consciously happening, and you don't have the self-discipline to control that urge. One thing my father has always taught me and always said to me is in life, throughout your whole entire life, you will always struggle with 2 things: self-control and self-discipline. And in trading, you need both. You need both, and a lot of it. Because there's days where you might want to over leverage. You might just make that split second decision where you're going to enter a trade and you're like, this looks really good. Let me add like fucking 3 times my size here, right? But you don't end up realizing that little mistake is going to make you have so many more mistakes in the future. And not only that, but when you're entering a position with 2 times, 3 times more size than what you normally do, and you start seeing your P&L fluctuate and you realize you're like, oh, fuck, if I get stopped out here, I am losing way more than I have accepted. And like we talked about earlier, one of the biggest things in trading is the acceptance of risk. And when you are over leveraged, you have not accepted risk whatsoever, right? Because a lot of the times when you over leverage, it is that split second decision where you're like, I'm just going to add a couple more cons here. And then you're in the position and you see that P&L fluctuate and you're like, oh, fuck. And you start shaking in your boots, but you don't have the fucking balls to take it off and realize you made the mistake because you are so fucking eager to see what happens because you're obsessed with the potential to make that money. The potential. You're not focused on good habits. You're not focused on the longevity. In the moment, right that second, you're focused on, dude, if I win this, I could make like $5 grand right now. And that simple mistake is going to cost you. So the reason why we do these sessions and the reason why I talk about these things is because I've had these mistakes countless times. I've done these mistakes countless times. And I'm here to tell you that no matter how many times that you do it, it will never work out for you. You might get lucky. You might get lucky here and there. One trade might work out. You might make a lot of money, but I guarantee you that money's not going to stay with you. That money's going to be gone real fucking quick. So when we talk about good habits, good psychology, when I try to nail into your brain the real way to think to be a successful trader, I want you guys to listen. Because trust me, those urges are going to be something that you always struggle with. You will always have a little bit of an urge to maybe, over leverage or maybe take a trade or maybe do this. And those are the times where you really have to have the discipline to recognize that and say, hey, I'm feeling anxious here. I'm feeling stressed. I felt like I just over leveraged. I need to step away. I'm going to make a mistake. I need to step away. And the problem is a lot of you guys don't have the self-control and the self-discipline to do that. Justin, with that long trade, should you take the second fair value gap so you can see the reaction? No, I would have took that first one. And the reason why is because you have that SMT validating. This is where I would have taken it. Got funded today on 150K account. Let's go, brother. Very rarely, Matthew, very, very rarely will I have the urge to over leverage. And a lot of the times I'll realize it and I'll be like, Justin, you're a fucking idiot. You're going to do this for the 1,000th time and have to learn it the hard way. Because trust me, I'm the kind of person where we've talked about this. I've had to get slapped in the fucking face 1,000 times for me to realize, there's only one right way of doing this. There's only one right way. So I'm not going to have the 1,001th time to realize I should never do it again, right? I'm just never going to fucking do it again. And you have to have the discipline to, be like that. All right, so going into tomorrow, I still believe that the draw is going to be this high, right? That aligns with that daily fair value gap. We're looking like we want to get up in there. We just swept this low. We're starting to get that nice daily candle to the upside. I do think that we continue to go higher tomorrow. Now, depending on what happens in the overnight session, is we could come up into this fair value gap in the overnight session, sweep this high, and if we sweep this high in the overnight session, I will be bearish going into the morning. But depending on what happens, if we continue to sell off possibly down here, I will be looking to see internal structure to possibly take longs back to take out these relative equal highs up here. Same thing with ES. ES is not really as close to taking that, so possibly expecting to maybe form a bearish SMT if we can come up on NQ and take that high out. What about fear of execution? The reason you have fear of execution is because you just simply don't have enough experience to have confidence with your strategy. That's all it is. The reason you're afraid to execute is, number one, you're afraid of losing. You're adding too much money on the table. You haven't accepted the risk. That's number one. Number two, you have no confidence with your strategy. Number three, you don't have enough experience. And all of those things just take time. but you have to be focused on those things. I guarantee you, if every single listen to me right now, if every single person in this channel traded for one single week with a quarter of their normal size, if you all traded a quarter of your normal size for a week, I guarantee you you're going to be more successful than you would be. Because you're not afraid of losing. You've accepted the risk. It's small, so you don't hesitate. You don't have that added extra emotion onto it. Because I know the draw is higher, John. Once that fair value gets ran through, even if we have SMT at the highs, I still believe that we're going to go run them. Just by noticing the strength. Has 2023 been a bigger year for 2022 profit-wise? No, it has not. 2022, we talked about this before. I used to trade a lot bigger. So this year for me has been specifically focused on execution and mastering my strategy. I decided to take this entire year to lower. I used to trade like 8 to 10 cons last year. Yeah. This year has been probably, I'm at like half of what I've made. We still have like 3 more months. Or 4 more months. But last year I used to trade heavier size. And by the end of last year, I started to realize that the rate of which I was upping my size and my success, I've been there so many times before where you get to a point where you're having success, you're having really good success, and you continue to up your size, and then you end up having that big mistake. And I felt that coming on. So this entire year I dedicated to, I have no focus on making money. And I think that's what makes me successful is I'm purely I took a whole entire year out of my journey, this entire year, to focus primarily just on execution and mastering my edge and mastering my strategy. And when the time comes around where markets are good, where I have the most confidence I've ever had, that is when I'm going to execute, and you're going to see insane fucking numbers from me. Did you trade differently in 2022? No, I did not. A little bit differently, but pretty much the same. Yeah, I would not have taken shorts at this time. Markets are good as out of summer months, more volatility, VIX is higher, cleaner draw. Would you say this PA is similar to of November last year? No. Looking back on my journal, Mondays I always get shit on. Would you advise I paper Mondays or just take them off? I'd recommend paper. Yeah, if you want to trade Mondays, just trade them on paper and journal the trades, right? Why do they don't work? Is it the action? Is it what? But if you're having lower consistency, absolutely. Either lower your size, trade paper, or don't trade at all. What way is it different? Just different volatility. Yeah, this is good, brother. I like this. Getting a clean high, bigger time frame fair value gap. You get nice displacement, pull back to fair value gap. Looking for it short. Sell side met. Looks good. Keep killing it, Nathan. You're doing well, brother. All your trades have been looking clean. Not on discount. In my opinion, I don't think it matters here. Like in this. Okay. So for this, your stop is fine. We could come up to here and go back to discount, but your stop is where it needs to be. So you allowed yourself to have room, even if we come to discount. You're still have validation of the trade, and it's still a good risk to reward. This isn't bad, but I would have looked to take the initial short right here after that low is taken. So this is a little bit more lower probability, but still good. What's the best month for trading? It's all, guys, if I'm being completely honest, every year's fucking different. Because you got to realize the country, the economy, the VIX, every index is always different. Like, there's never going to be a point in time that's going to be exactly the same. It's always new. Markets are always changing. That's why, as a trader, you're always adapting to conditions. So if I'm being completely honest, I don't really pay attention to recognizing what months are the same, what months are similar. I go into every month expecting something completely new. I do, Dawson. Bigger time frame draw on liquidity, bigger time frame rejection of fair value gap or imbalance, sweep of liquidity, break a structure to the downside, pull back to discount fair value gap, SMT at the highs, something like that. All right, let's look at gold going into tomorrow as well. Gold still hasn't really, gold's just been chopping. Again, I don't like gold at all right now where we are. Notice we took this high, but we never ended up taking this low, so that tells me not to touch it right now. Would like to see us possibly come up to this high. So gold's a no touch for me right now. Would want to see more structure. CL. 4 hour, we've now come up, rejected that area. I still would like to see that draw become lower. Come up, rejected here, getting nice displacement to the downside. I do expect probably to go lower on CL, so going into tomorrow, we could end up coming back up to this imbalance area. Maybe look to see a 15-minute high put in the overnight session, then look to sweep it and then go back lower. But right now, again, still no touch for me here. Oh, wait, hold on. I fucking exited. Recently started learning the way you trade and just started to gain as much knowledge as possible. You have been a great teacher in respect. With respect to you, one day we'll be up there with you. Much love, Nathan. Keep killing it, brother. John, no, I didn't, John, because we had SMT. Again, I'm totally fine taking that, and I only enter one con. Like that trade we took, I couldn't have done anything better there. What are the best ICT playlists for someone that understands concepts already? Mine. I've created a little subsection on my YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you scroll down, there's a section for charting sessions. Going to talk about there's a section for charting sessions, and then there's how to trade ICT. All of these videos I would recommend watching. How to find drawn liquidity, how to use loss to your advantage, what is liquidity, top 5 tips, secret to having a strong bias, how to know which fair value gaps will work, SMT, how to journal, how to find daily bias, the TGR webinar. A lot of stuff on there is good. But again, I'm always going to recommend just the original 2022 ICT mentorship as well. All right, guys, that is all I have for you guys tonight. Does anybody have any last questions? OTE versus 2022. What's the difference? OTE in 22. OTE is optimal trade entry. Well, not sure what the question is there. Are you gonna trade Friday? What's on Friday? Oh, Powell? Probably not then. Maybe. We'll see. Wait, we have FOMC tomorrow? No, we don't. Yeah, no, we don't have FOMC. It's just member speaking. I don't really care about that. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Get some rest. I'll make sure to post this so you guys can revisit this. We talked a lot about and the importance of psychology. And I'm trying to, every single day, I'm always going to talk a little bit about it, trying to nail it into your brains, right? The repetition aspect is one of the most important things. So I'm always going to be talking about those things, trying to nail it in your brain, right? Build that consistency, build that discipline. So enjoy the rest of your night. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Peace.